Hello, boys and girls. So today is NTI Day 21, and we're starting a new I can statement this week. And our I can statement for this week is I can use visuals and information from the passage to answer a question. So if we are talking about visuals in nonfiction stories, those are usually our text features. And some of our text features are diagrams, charts, pictures with their captions. And sometimes when we're reading, we feel like we can just skip over those captions. We can skip over that extra information because it's not important. But it is. It tells us how things work. It labels things for us. There's all kinds of things that our captions and our labels do for us. So you are going to be looking at a diagram of a fire truck, and this fire truck has labels that are labeling the parts of the fire truck, and it has a caption that tells you about the fire truck, and it says the driver of a fire truck sits in the cab. A ladder and a hose are connected to the main part of the truck. The hose is long and can stretch far from the truck. So that tells us what these parts that are labeled can do or what they're used for. So when you fill out your chart, it says what the text tells you and what the diagram shows you. So what does this tell you that you can't find in the picture? And what does just the picture do for you? That's what you're going to be putting into the chart, boys and girls, and thinking about when you see these things in a other book that you read. Then you have kind of another diagram and labels about parts of a flower. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to look at the different pieces and parts of the flower, what they do. They have little captions and sidebars that tell you. And then you have some questions, and you have to use both the labels and the passage next to it, the caption next to it. After that, you have another sequence of events review that you're looking for those words first, next, finally, and seeing the different steps that you would take to teach a dog a trick. If you have a dog, you could try this out. But that's what you're doing in NTI. I want to talk a little bit more about these visuals, though. So when you're reading a nonfiction book, I have a couple with me here today. I'm going to make my screen bigger so you can see me. Yes. Okay, so I have a book about caves. And in the back of this book, when you're going caving, you need a lot of different equipment. And this is a great visual because it shows you a picture of what you need. It has a label of what it is, and it tells you what it is used for. So for example, right here, it says warm, waterproof clothes. And underneath, it can be very cold and wet inside of caves. So why do you need warm, waterproof clothes? It tells you right underneath there. It says it can be very cold and wet. So because it's cold and wet, you need warm, waterproof clothes. And then it shows you what waterproof clothes might look like. It also says a first aid kit, and it has a picture of a first aid kit. Carry a small first aid kit. What might be a reason that you might need a first aid kit if you're going caving? And if you don't know what caving is, caving is when you go inside of a cave and you explore it. Now, we have one of the longest cave systems in the world in Kentucky, and it is called Mammoth Cave. And whenever you are going on tours, you don't need all of this equipment because it's well lit and you have a tour guide and you're well taken care of. But if you're going on like a wild cave trip, you would need these things because it's very dark and you might get hurt. There are tight spaces that you have to squeeze through, and you could get hurt when you're squeezing through those spaces. So a first aid kit would be a very good choice. So that's an example of a visual. This gives us lots of information really quickly. We can glance at it. If we just wanted to know about the helmet, we could go right to the helmet and look at it. All right, another example of using visuals. I have a nonfiction book about crows here. And if we look at this picture, it has a picture of a crow, and it has these labels again that tell you the different parts of the crow. So here it says black eyes, black beak, black feathers, black legs and feet, square cut tail feathers. And that would help us identify a crow if we were looking for them. And over here it says identifying crows. Crows have glossy black plumage that can sometimes look purple in the sunlight. Their beak is also black and has a slight hook at the end. Male and female crows look alike. And then it tells us the pieces. So they go together. They go together. So when you're reading, boys and girls, I want you to make sure you don't skip over those visuals, okay? Look at what they say. Look at what the captions say. And sometimes, especially when we're reading in small group, you all want to read this part and then skip over this down here. But I'm going to encourage you not to do that because it gives you extra information and tells you what this picture down here is about. So down here, it says crows build their nests out of branches and twigs that they line with bark, plants, hair, twine, cloth, and other soft material. And then it shows you a picture of those things in that nest. So it can give you extra information, and sometimes the captions have the coolest parts that you're reading about. So really look at those, and when you're doing your work this week, make sure you read all of the pieces. Don't just skip to the questions. I know it's tempting to just go ahead and skip down to the bottom, but I encourage you not to do that. All right. I hope you all have a good day. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I hope to talk to you soon.